The year is 1944 and the Second World War is at its peak. Many prisoners are taken to labor camps where they serve before they are executed. But from the most unlikely places, love is born. Tomasz, a captured member of the Polish resistance, is serving his time in one of Germany's labor camps where he meets the love of his life, Hannah. Hannah is a German Jew who is also a captive in the labor camp. This place is the worst place to be, as many crimes like torture are always committed and trying to escape is almost impossible. Hannah and Tomasz meet in this camp and they have been together ever since. But their love story can't reach the German soldiers, or it would be their demise. Hannah and the female inmates are tasked with cleaning the prison, while Tomasz supervises the distribution of bread for the prisoners. But Tomasz is not just a prisoner. He is also tasked with exposing the crimes being committed inside the prison. He and his Polish friends have sneaked a camera into the facility, and they have captured everything they need to bring global attention to prisons like this all over Germany. Tomasz also uses his connections to smuggle all kinds of stuff into the prison, where he bribes inmates and even SS officers. Whenever Tomasz and Hannah want to meet, Tomasz buys off his office mate with a bottle of vodka so that he and Hannah can be alone together in the office where Tomasz works with the SS, and they get intimate and share a valuable time as a couple. One day, Tomasz receives word from outside that his escape is being prepared in 2 days, and he receives an SS uniform along with paperwork. But Tomasz thinks it is too soon, and he hasn't planned this through. His friend tells Tomasz that he shouldn't miss the window to report back to Warsaw because of a girl, as what they are doing is bigger than one soul. Meanwhile, Hannah and the female inmates are standing for daily checkups when one inmate is brutally hit by a female soldier for being weak. Right then, Hannah discovers that she is pregnant and almost throws up. Hannah swallows back her vomit and can barely stand. Another inmate tells her to stay strong and wait until the checkup is over. Later, Hannah is cleaning the floor, but she can't continue to work because of her condition. That night, Tomasz speaks to Hannah and thinks that she is sick. When he tells her he can smuggle medicine, she tells him not to worry about it, and they part ways. Tomasz is now very worried about her and anxiously waits for their meeting. When Hannah doesn't show up, he goes close to the female inmate gate, but he doesn't see her. Instead, he sees one of his Polish friends leaving a room, beaten up, possibly after being exposed. Tomasz then takes all this into account and decides to make a move. He wears his SS officer uniform and practices his German so that he can ask for Hannah fluently. After a few minutes, he is about to leave the room but realizes he is still wearing his glasses. He takes them off, but he can't see clearly. However, there is no time to waste, so he pulls down his cape to cover his face and leaves his room. As soon as he gets out, he meets many prisoners who salute him, thinking he is an actual SS soldier. He then quickly heads to the female section and shouts Hannah's prison number. Without a doubt, the female warden hands him Hannah, and he leads her to the gate, pushing and insulting her on the way so that no one suspects anything. But at the gate, he is stopped by some soldiers, so he gives them the paperwork he prepared. The paperwork states that Hannah is to be transported to another facility to serve as a cleaning lady. The soldiers don't suspect a thing, but they want to rape her before she leaves. Although disgusted by the idea, Tomasz tells them that they can have her, but he wants to have her first. He promises to hand her over later and leaves the compound. Once out of sight, Tomasz and Hannah run into the woods, starting their journey as free people. They can't believe they are free and run several miles before stopping. But their freedom is yet to be secured, as they must go through different German towns before crossing into Poland, which is still under German control. Tomasz and Hannah jump from one town to another, eating what they can and stealing what they wear until they are caught by a lone SS officer. But Hannah and Tomasz will not let their freedom slip away easily, as they kill the soldier together. Tomasz strips the soldier and puts on the new uniform. The informed German soldiers are now actively searching for an escaped Polish soldier and a German Jewish woman traveling together. The intensified search continues, but proves to be ineffective, as the couple is very clever at covering their tracks and hiding. A few weeks later, the couple gets lucky and comes across a car whose owners are relaxing a few yards away. The couple quickly acts and steals the car while the owners chase them but can't keep up. Hannah and Tomasz now enjoy their journey toward Poland in their newly found car, and their relationship strengthens more than ever. Finally, the couple reaches Tomasz's hometown and meets with Janusz, Tomasz's old friend. Tomasz asks about his mother, Stefania, and brother Czeslaw. Janusz responds, saying Stefania is fine but has been kicked out of her house and Czeslaw is still in the resistance. Then Tomasz introduces Hannah to Janusz as his fiancé. Tomasz then privately asks Janusz about Czeslaw's whereabouts, saying he has very important documents he needs to deliver to him and tells him to prepare transport for him. Tomasz also points out that Hannah doesn't know about this and he should keep it that way. Later, Tomasz meets with his mother and introduces Hannah to her, but Stefania immediately disapproves of Hannah after learning that she is a German Jew. When Tomasz tries to explain the situation, Stefania slaps him, showing there is no way he can convince her. Tomasz then tells Hannah they will be leaving this place once and for all and heading to Magdalena's, Czeslaw's wife. After a few days, Hannah grows weaker and weaker until one day she starts bleeding. Not knowing about Hannah's pregnancy, Tomasz thinks she is sick and takes her to his mother. Tomasz asks Stefania to take care of Hannah, but at that moment, Janusz arrives, telling him there is a car waiting to take him to Czeslaw in Warsaw. Tomasz makes his mother promise that she will take care of Hannah and leaves for Warsaw, after telling Hannah he will return in 2 days. He then tells Janusz to take Hannah to Magdalena once her condition is stable. A few days later, an SS officer comes to Stefania's neighborhood asking for Janusz, and she gets a sinister idea. She talks to the officer, telling him Janusz will return home shortly and that he can wait for him at her house. She knows that German soldiers are actively searching for any Jews and she wants Hannah to be found. After letting the SS officer into her house, she lets him sit right next to Hannah's bed, which is only covered by a curtain. She then starts to act suspiciously so that the officer will think something is going on inside her house. Then she deliberately leaves her house so that the officer will have the freedom to look around and discover Hannah. Sure enough, the officer opens the curtain but finds nothing on the bed. Hannah has stayed sharp and hidden in the closet because she suspected Stefania would do something like this. The officer finishes his coffee and leaves the house. Disgusted by this betrayal, Hannah leaves immediately afterward, taking a photo of Tomasz that his mother had kept framed in a place of honor. Hannah goes to Magdalena's home to wait for Tomasz, but is still forced to hide from the world. In her free time, Hannah practices Polish, and both women wait anxiously for their men to return. On the radio, they hear that Tomasz's efforts were fruitful as the German prisons were exposed for their crimes. One day, while they wait, a few Polish soldiers come across Magdalena's place, but there is still no sign of Tomasz or Czeslaw. After more weeks of waiting, Czeslaw returns home, and Magdalena is very happy to see him, but he thought Tomasz would be there, as he left Warsaw immediately. Czeslaw also tells them that he has lost many good friends along the way. He then tells Hannah that Tomasz took pictures of the crimes committed in prison and passed the information to him. Czeslaw explains that it was for her own safety that Tomasz kept this crucial information from her. Hannah, Magdalena, and Czeslaw spend a few peaceful days together until Stefania arrives at their house after the Russians occupied hers. But Magdalena informs her immediately that Hannah will be staying and nothing will change that. However, Stefania brings up her unconfirmed idea, claiming that Tomasz has died. She mentions this repeatedly and fights with everyone about it. One day, a heated debate takes place in the house and Hannah storms out. Just then, Russian soldiers arrive at their home and take Czeslaw and Magdalena away, leaving Stefania alone. Hannah, who was watching this from afar, hides under a nearby tree, afraid for her life. The next day, Hannah leaves a letter for Tomasz in case he ever returns and then leaves for Germany, knowing she can't stay with Stefania. Along the way, she freezes and loses consciousness. But luckily, she is rescued by a Red Cross van passing by, which takes her in. After a few weeks, Tomasz returns to Magdalena's house only to find his mother there. Stefania tells him that Czeslaw and Magdalena have been arrested and that Hannah is dead. She says she couldn't find out where Czeslaw and Magdalena were taken, but she is very glad to see him. 32 years later, in 1976, Hannah has moved on from her past life and is living in Brooklyn, New York, with her successful husband David and their grown daughter, Rebecca. Hannah made a few calls to find Tomasz in 1945 and 1946, but the responses she received were that either he was dead or his location was unknown. Hannah believes that Tomasz is dead and is now living her ordinary life. One day, Hannah heads to a dry cleaning store to pick up her dress for a party David organized. But then, something unexpected happens as she watches an interview of a man who looks like Tomasz, speaking about a girl he fell in love with, possibly Hannah. Hannah can't believe what she hears and heads home quickly. She calls the Red Cross Association to ask for all the information they have on Tomasz, but their response is the same, telling her he is dead. She tells them she has seen him on TV and that she needs to find him very fast. After learning about the possibility that Tomasz might be alive, Hannah's life becomes a mess. She starts behaving unusually, spending most of her time in her office calling the Red Cross. Worried, David asks her what is going on, but she refuses to involve him in this matter. Finally, the Red Cross finds a match and sends all the documents to her, including Tomasz's address and phone number. David and Rebecca also learn about this and understand why she was acting strange lately. That night, Hannah calls Tomasz, but both of them can't believe the other is alive. Tomasz then hangs up, thinking it is a hoax because Stefania had told him that Hannah was dead. Hannah calls him again and confirms that she is actually Hannah. She then tells him that she was pregnant when they escaped the prison. But these memories can't be talked about over the phone, so feeling overwhelmed, they hang up. Tomasz has become a professor in Poland and is currently living with his daughter. Later, Hannah and David have a long conversation, and finally, he lets her visit Tomasz because he understands what she has been through. After a few days, Hannah arrives in Poland, and Tomasz waits for her with a flower and a car to pick her up. The movie ends as the two of them stare at each other, emotions and memories flooding them with tears and joy. Thanks for watching the video. Please like it and subscribe the Explanation Pro channel for more contents like this.